Hey guys, welcome back into Legacy. Over the last couple of days, I've made a slight error in my GMing style, and I kind of want to address it because I think it's an important thing, and it kind of highlighted something I think that's important to address as a GM. And that's communication and communicating as a GM with your players and communicating as a group, particularly from the GM side to the player side. And like I said, let me start off saying that I made a serious error with one of my groups. I do want to say in this video, I do apologize to my group for that error. I should have been more communicative, and I wasn't being. Uh, and I apologize for that, guys. You know who you are if you watch my channel. I do apologize, and if I've ever done that to you guys and you played with me, I do apologize for it. I try to be as communicative as I can. But what I want to talk about is the how, when, why to communicate, and then also how, if you do make the mistake I just made, how can you kind of patch that? How can you get better at it? How can you fix the error? And I'm going to start with the how, when, and whys. Um, so, how do you communicate with your group? Um, I'm going to say the biggest way to communicate with the group is truthfully, honestly, and openly. Um, and I don't say that tritely. Um, you have to be honest as a GM with what is going on your end. Whether it be a scheduling issue, whether it be an issue with technical concerns, say, especially if you're running, say, online, or you're using PDF copies of your books or whatever. You have to communicate that stuff openly, guys. You have to be open. That's how you have to communicate as a GM. If you're shrouded and you're mysterious about how you feel about things or how you feel about the way the game is going or any of that, your players are going to not be able to trust you as a GM. Being open and honest and fair uh, is the only way to communicate with your players, because your players will come to respect. I generally believe this will come to respect the idea that you are honest, that you will be fair in your assessment, both of yourself and of them and of the game itself and everything else that revolves around role playing. If you're not, your player's going to become shrouded themselves. They're going to be guarded with themselves. They may even ghost because you're not communicating. You're not communicating the way you should. Um, when do you communicate with them? The moment it's necessary. Um, do not sit on things. Guys, I cannot express anywhere enough the importance of immediacy. Um, guys, you have to communicate the moment something becomes a problem. If there's a problem player, you have to communicate that with the player, that player, and the group immediately. If there's a problem with the game schedule, communicate it immediately. If there is a problem with uh, anything, with the rule set, you have to say it up front fast. Because again, it goes back to the idea of how do you talk? You have to be open. You cannot hide the ball and then expect your players to trust you going forward if you do not immediately bring things to their attention. Good and bad, by the way. This does not just mean bad news or whatever. This can be good news. Like, for example, you're going to add a new player to your game, and the other players haven't met him yet. You need to be very immediate and open about, hey, guys, I found a new player. I'm going to introduce him next week. Let me add him into the chat or whatever, and you guys can get to know him. If you don't do that, he just shows up, you're going to have some really very kind of thumb the eye kind of issues, because again, players don't trust you if you're not open and immediate with them. If you're not telling them what they need to know, they can't trust you. They have to trust you. That is the TLDW for this video. You have to be willing to do things fast and openly. And then the final thing is, why do you communicate with your players? It's simple. I think I've said it several times. I'm going to say it one more time. Communication is key to trust and respect. Your players will not trust and respect you as much as they should or could if you are not communicating. Your players will get frustrated with you. They will barge out of your game. They will leave you behind in the dust to find somebody who is more open and more communicative and more honest about what's going on. That is a truism. That is a general truism. And that's generally true of most communication, whether it be workplace, whatever. What I'm saying is a general truism, but it is especially true of GMing because you are playing a collaborative experience. It involves everybody at the table, whether that be one player and you as a GM or you and 6 players. It doesn't matter. You have a collaborative experience there. You have a community, basically, a small fraction of the community sitting around your table. And as a community, you have to communicate. And you have to do it fast, and you have to do it openly. You have to do it in a way that makes your players trust and honestly respect you. If you're not doing those things, and then your players start disrespecting you, they become passive aggressive towards you, any of that, you are the ones going to bear the responsibility for that. Keep that in mind. Okay, that is just how that's going to be. Now, the hard part for me, because as I just told you guys, I made an error. I made a uncalculated first error recently, within the last couple of days. How do you try to patch it if you do make these kind of errors? Because everyone does. We all make errors. Guys, I'm going to say a couple of things. They're going to be hard truths, but the truths. The first is, again, open and honest. And second is apologetic. Never, ever, ever, ever pass it off on other people if it's your fault that you're not communicating. It's not their fault. It's yours. Apologize for it if you need to. If it's important and it's something that has caused even a minor rift, be open enough to say, hey, man, I'm sorry I didn't communicate this to you properly or whatever. I'll do better in the future. And in that apology, also be honest about the circumstances that may have led to the reason you're not being communicative, because it could be a legitimate reason. Your family member could have died. You could have had a medical emergency. You could have, your car could have broken down on the way home from work, and you couldn't make the session. A million things can happen to you that prevents you from communicating. We all know that. We're all human beings. So if you're not communicating with those guys and you come back to your group, never ever try to say, well, guys, this is somehow your fault. No. It's my fault, guys. I didn't communicate properly. And by the way, guys, this only applies to things that you do if you're not communicating. If your players aren't communicating to you, that's a separate issue. That's a separate video, separate argument altogether. If you as a GM are not communicating, you need to be able to come back to your players and say, guys, I'm really sorry that I'm not communicating the way I should be, because I should be telling you what's going on. And as I said, and I'm going to say it again, I'm going to make sure I reiterate this, because guys that are involved in this current unforced error for me, as far as I see it, guys, I really am sorry that I didn't communicate the way I felt like I should have. I'm going to say that again. I really do feel bad about not communicating the way I should have. I should have hopped on last night and communicated what had been going on over the last 24 hours or so. And I was just, yesterday was sideways for me. So I promise you, it was not done out of malice or spite or anger or anything like that. It was purely, I had some things go on yesterday that I would rather not have gone on. But that being said, guys, that's how you patch up things. Apologies go a long way towards restoring trust and respect, because people who apologize are typically seen better in the eyes of their compatriots than people who never take responsibility. You should always take responsibility when you're wrong. That's a truism in everything you do. But especially true when you're GMing the game. If you're wrong, you say, I was wrong. And in the case of communication, you say, guys, I'm not communicating the way I'm supposed to, and I apologize, and I will try to do better in the future. And like I said, and you try to, and it's fine. Don't make excuses, but don't make excuses, but give reasons, kind of thing. Don't use what happens to you as an excuse, but be honest and say, hey guys, this isn't an excuse, but yesterday my car broke down. It happens. Life happens. That's how life is. And like I said, I thought this video was kind of important because it shined a light on me that kind of bothered me. And I thought this video would be good for some GMs to just kind of hear it again. Not necessarily because they need to know this or they have to learn this, but sometimes it's good to hear this as a repetitive thing. and reassure themselves that they're handling their communication stuff properly and handling their table, the way they talk to the table stuff properly. And some people may need to hear this because they're not being communicative and they're not really, talking to their tables and stuff. And if that's the case with you, then I can't do anything for you. I can just give you the advice that I found in life, um, and hope it helps you. As always, guys, these are just my thoughts on it. Please do not take them as a writ of action. Um, I'm going to say something at the end of this video real fast that I want you to understand why I do my GM advice videos. I do my GM advice videos in hopes that somebody gets something out of them, even if they don't take everything to heart. And if one of you watches this video and gets something out of it, then I've accomplished what I set out to do. So keep that in mind. But otherwise, guys, uh, as always, welcome your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, ways you handle problems, things like that underneath. As always, just follow the 3 rules. No ad hominems, no picking fights, and don't write me college dissertations. I just don't have time for that stuff, as was proven by my day today. But otherwise, guys, I do welcome those thoughts. I really do, and I do welcome anything you guys have to say. But as always, we do hope you guys have fun, and we do hope to see